This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and it's Smackdown time here. You folks said that you would like to see this Smackdown, so here it is. This is the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Yoga, third generation for 2018, the one in black, though it's also available in a silvery sort of color. And this is the Microsoft Surface Book 2. Specifically, this is the 15-inch model, but I'll be talking about both the 13.5 and 15-inch models in this comparison. There's a lot that's similar. These are both convertible products with pen and touchscreen support. They're both high-end. They're both expensive. I'm not going to touch so much on the price differences because they're both very expensive products, or all three, shall we say, since there's two different sizes of Surface Book available. And Lenovo's a moving target on price. They often have good sales, so something that's $2,500 could be $2,000 the next week. You never know. But suffice to say, it's a pricey product, probably going to be a little bit less expensive, though, than the Surface Book 2s. We're going to look at them now. So whether you go with Surface Book 2 or the X1 Yoga 3rd Gen, you're going to get an Intel 8th generation Kaby Lake R quad-core 15-watt Ultrabook CPU. There is a Surface Book 2 model. It's kind of like the rehashing of last generation Surface Book brought back. We're not going to consider that one so much. That's the one that's $1,200 and it has last gen specs inside. You know, I don't think that's the, if you're going to go for the Surface Book 2 and all it has to offer, that's not the one to talk about. So anyway, sticking with anything but that loss leader kind of intro model for the Surface Book 2, you've got 8th gen CPUs. You have Intel UHD 620 graphics on both of these, but here's the first big important but, and this gets into what you actually want to do with your laptop. You also get an NVIDIA GTX 1050 graphics card in the 13.5-inch model and a GTX 1060 in the 15-inch model. These are mid-range gaming GPUs. They are powerful things. And it's good enough to play today's AAA games at full HD resolution and at least medium or high settings and enjoy yourself. That's not something that your typical Ultrabook, including our lovely ThinkPad here, can do at all. So if you're looking for something that's a crossover that can be both your gaming laptop and, at least on the road, and be your Ultrabook as well, then Surface Book 2 takes the cake there for that. Also, if you're doing 3D design stuff, if you're doing Adobe Premiere, particularly where the GPU will be utilized, then that's really going to help your workflow too, to have that dedicated graphics. If you're doing 2D work in Photoshop, Intel integrated graphics is just fine. I draw with tablets all the time, and I edit photos with laptops all the time that just have Intel UHD 620 graphics, and it's fine for that stuff. So it's really for those of you who are getting into the 3D work, the animation, all that sort of thing. You know who you are. Another neat thing about the Surface Book 2 family is that instead of having 360-degree hinges like the Yoga, we are always holding the full weight of the product, even when you're using it as a tablet. And when you're talking about 3 pounds plus, 1.5 kilograms, that can be a bit of a burden. The Surface Book 2 has that fulcrum hinge, and it separates out, and so you can use it just as a tablet, much lighter and more nimble, half the weight, basically, when you're doing just the tablet section of it. So if you use the tablet, the pen functionality a whole lot, then that's really worth it to you. If you don't do that so much, if you use it mostly on the desk, you just take it to meetings for note-taking, so you just flip that Yoga 360-degree hinge, lay it on the table, then that doesn't matter so much to you. So there you have that one. So right now, it sounds like the Surface Book 2 is the end-all, be-all. But, there's some trade-offs, too. For example, most of the brains are inside the tablet section, and that is sealed. It is glued together. That's not user-serviceable. So if you want to get to the CPU, the SSD, RAM is soldered on anyway, you're going to have somebody, Microsoft, service that for you, and the main battery. Now, you can take apart the base and access the GPU and the secondary battery, but, whatever. I don't think most of us have that much of an interest in doing that sort of thing. With the ThinkPad X1 Yoga, it's a normal Ultrabook. You unscrew the screws on the bottom. You take off the bottom panel. You want to upgrade your SSD? You go ahead. You upgrade your SSD. You need to swap the Wi-Fi card. Not the most common thing, but you can. And if you need to replace the battery down the road, you can do that too. It's not hard at all to do. So that's an important in terms of serviceability here, and I know a lot of people worry about that. And that gets into the variety of configurations available too, because with Lenovo, they are all about build to order. So you can mix and match things that you want. If you want to have a Core i7 but only 8 gigs of RAM, Or you want 16 gigs of RAM but only 256 gig SSD. You can do that. You don't have to pay for what you don't want, especially because you can upgrade the SSD yourself afterwards. Microsoft has a limited number of pre-built models. So if you want 16 gigs of RAM, you're also going to pay for a 512 gig SSD because they tie those two together. So that's another place where the serviceability comes in, because at least you could upgrade your SSD on the Lenovo. Both of these RAM is soldered on board, so you can't upgrade RAM after the fact. Both of these top out at 16 gigs of RAM. The Lenovo is also the lighter product, 2-in-1 designs. In general, convertibles tend to be a little heavier because of the hinges or whatever connection mechanism if you have a 2-in-1 separable. And in this case, you can see on screen how much they weigh. They're the Surface Book 2, both models, even the 13.5-inch, is a little bit heavier than the ThinkPad 2. So for those of you who tote these around all the time. Of course, for the 15-inch Surface Book 2, that's a different weight class, a different set of expectations. It should be heavier. Lenovo is durable by design. That's their thing. They have all the MIL STD tests that they pass for dust, for shock, for vibration, all that sort of thing. And I always make jokes about ThinkPads because ever since I dropped one on a hardwood floor and it dented the floor and it was fine, it made the point that it's a fairly durable device. It's not impossible to break it, but it's pretty rugged. You don't worry about it as much. The Surface Book 2s are very dense and very well built. I actually don't worry. I own a 15-inch model, and I don't really worry about it so much, but clearly it's not designed to take the level of abuse that a ThinkPad is. When it comes to the pen, they both have touchscreens. They both have pens. The ThinkPad, they both use something that's essentially an active capacitive technology. That's what it's called, where the pen is the active part. It has the little battery or the power inside of it. With the ThinkPad, you get the little toothpick pen for free. It's in the silo. If you want to buy the bigger size pen, it's around 60 bucks or so. With Surface, you got to pay 99 bucks for the top of the line Surface pen model. You can get the older model for around $60 as well. They're very similar technologies behind the scenes in terms of how they work, being both active capacitive, and they're really close. I have a slight preference for the Wacom AES that's used in the ThinkPad, but not really enough of a difference to make me say I'd pick one over the other. They're really that close. Surface Book 2 uses a proprietary dock, which started out life as a $199 product and now often is 135 bucks or 99 bucks. You can shop around, and it uses that pogo pin connector that can connect either to the base of the laptop or just to the display section if you actually wish to do that sort of thing. But it is proprietary. With the ThinkPad, it has two Thunderbolt 3 ports, both supporting USB-C Gen 2, so you can use any Thunderbolt 3 dock that's on the market. Cool stuff there. Surface Book 2 just has USB-C, one USB-C port, USB-C Gen 1, so no Thunderbolt 3 there. Surface Book 2 has a full-size SD card slot. The Lenovo has a micro SD card slot. I'm not sure that matters that much to people anymore these days. You got micro SD card adapters, all that sort of thing. It's really going to make a difference for videographers more than anything else. Folks like us who do it professionally, you need very fast cards for shooting 4K video. It's cheaper and easier to find those still as full-size cards. For those who actually care about the cameras on your laptops, I don't know how many of you there are, but I know some vertical market people probably do care. You have a webcam basically on the ThinkPad. With the Surface Books, you get a 5-megapixel front higher resolution and an 8-megapixel rear camera on those. Now in terms of biometrics, you got a fingerprint scanner on the ThinkPad. The Face ID is optional. It's not compatible with the HDR display option, but other than that, you can get it. With the Surface Book 2 models, you get Windows Hello facial recognition. So it's up to you as to how you feel about that. For keyboards, they are both excellent keyboards. Really, I would be hard-pressed to say which one I like better because they're both really that good. I called that one a draw. And that says a lot for the Surface Book 2 keyboard because ThinkPads have superb keyboards. When it comes to the trackpad, I give the edge to the Surface Book 2. It's a very good Windows Precision trackpad. It's very reliable. It's very consistent in the way it tracks gestures. The only thing I don't like is the clicker is a little loud if you actually press to click instead of tap to click. The ThinkPad's one's not bad, and if you like the nav pointer, well, then it's the ThinkPad for you, obviously. If you need LTE built into the laptop instead of using your smartphone as a hotspot for your laptop, well, then it's a ThinkPad because it offers the optional LTE modem inside. The Surface Book 2 does not. When it comes to displays, well, this is where it gets a little bit, it depends. So with the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Yoga, we now have the HDR option, which is a stunning looking display. It's got full Adobe RGB coverage. It's a beautiful looking display. It's not as high resolution though as the Surface Book 2, either the 13.5 or the 15-inch model, so it depends on what's more important to you, that wider color gamut or the higher resolution. That said, the Surface Book 2 still has some of the best displays I've ever seen in a laptop. It's very accurate. It's well calibrated from the factory. You're getting full sRGB, but you're still only getting about 75% of Adobe RGB. If you're doing product for print, making videos or photos or whatever it is, web assets, then sRGB is all that you need. But for those of you who are doing products for print, you still need Adobe RGB there. So that's when it matters. Of course, it's always nicer to see more vibrant colors too. They both have very high contrast. They're lovely displays. Now with the ThinkPad, you're going to pay extra for that. Originally it was $310 for that HDR display, but now they've dropped it to $170 at the moment. It's on sale. Otherwise, there's a full HD or WQHD IPS display option available to you, which aren't as exciting, but hey, they're cheaper. Lastly, it's battery life. Now the Yoga is pretty good, the X1 Yoga, when it comes to battery life. It is going to depend on which display you get. HDR is going to use a little more power, the higher resolution will. It's about an 8 to 9 hour Ultrabook with moderate use. I'm not talking about playing games, pushing it hard. Whereas Surface Book 2 is famously, you can't kill it. It really is just amazing. You can use this thing all day if you're just doing productivity work or streaming video, editing a few things in Photoshop even, and it's more like your 12-hour laptop. It's really something. Now, if you're going to be playing something like Far Cry 5 when it's out, obviously your battery life's going to be a lot lower. So in the end, it really does come down to what you want to use these products for. The Lenovo is a sleek and stylish in that ThinkPad sort of way. Ultrabook that's really classy, and it's got a die for HDR display option. Performance on this is very good. The keyboard is fantastic. It's all those things you would want in a business Ultrabook. The Surface Book 2 is more of a, my God, it really has everything thrown in but the kitchen sink. For the first time ever, we have something with a mid-range gaming GPU inside. For those of you who want to game or do 3D work or need a lot of acceleration in Adobe products, which would particularly probably be Adobe Premiere users there more than Photoshop. You've got a detachable design so you can use it as a tablet separately. It's unusual, it's unique. If you need all those unique features, certainly then it's the one to pick. If you just want an Ultrabook, you want it durable, that's all there is to it, a good keyboard, all that sort of thing, then the Yoga can do the job for you. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.